Yeah, well, that's going to be a great way to start off this video. What's up, guys? My name is Steve, and this is Tech Teardown. We're a brand new tech channel where we do tech reviews, PC building, tutorials, and other types of tech and gaming content. If that's what you look for on YouTube, please consider subscribing and hit the bell so you don't miss one of our uploads. Today, in this video, we're going to be going over ray tracing and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Finally, we have another game to show off the ray tracing technology that Nvidia's new RTX cards have implemented in the technology, and I'm super excited to be able to test this game. In this video, we're going to go over the performance metrics, the impact on visuals, and we're also going to do that with DLSS, or Deep Learning Super Sampling, on and off. So let's get started and go over all those performance metrics and visual impacts. Alright guys, before we go into the performance metrics and the visual impacts, I'm going to go over my test system that I have here. This is my personal computer. In there, my motherboard is a Asus Maximus X Code motherboard, a Z370 chipset, and I have an i7 8700K processor at stock speeds. Nothing in here is overclocked, and my RAM is DDR4 RAM from G-Skill, their Trident Z RGB RAM at 3200 megahertz speed. And then for the graphics card, I have my EVGA RTX 2080 Ti. I don't have access to any of the lower end RTX cards, so in this video we're just going to be testing the implementation on the 2080 Ti. I wish I could do it all of the lower end RTX cards for you, but this is all I have to test, guys. So let's get started into those performance metrics, and then I'll move on to the visual impact. Alright guys, so one quick note I should have mentioned earlier is this was tested all at 1440p and with all the highest settings possible. I had ambient occlusion on with HBO plus, and I even had motion blur turned off. So going over those performance metrics, you saw there's quite a weird discrepancies between each one. I feel like there needs to be one other setting we can choose from. So going over the Ultra, we had 69 FPS, and then you go to high and you have 71. And so there's not a huge difference in there. And going over the visual impacts, I can show you why there might not be much of a performance impact going between Ultra and high. Then you move down to medium and then off. Medium, you had 101 FPS, and off, you had 115. So as you can see, going from 71 to 101 between high and medium, huge discrepancy right there. That's why I think there needs to be one other setting we can choose from. So maybe add like a very high to the RTX options. I think that would offset that discrepancy. And going over we're going to go over the visual impacts here very soon. And you'll see why I think there needs to be another implementation of a setting like a very high. Then going over the DLSS, I was very surprised at how well it helped boost the performance on the RTX Ultra. When I did the DLSS test, I did do it with RTX on Ultra, and it gave us a huge bump all the way up to 80 FPS, and that was very nice. All right, one thing you should note is I tested all of this with the built-in benchmark tool inside the game. Now, most of these results are pretty accurate to what it's like playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but there is one moment in the game that I had a horrible time with, at least the 2080 Ti did, where in this one segment, I never had any other problems. During a gunfight, it dropped all the way down to 19 FPS, and frame times were all the way up to 57 milliseconds. And it was horrible. One of the worst experiences I had playing the game as far as performance goes. And I've had other firefights during the game, and I didn't have that much of a performance hit. But something to do with that one part of the level, it really did have a huge performance hit on it. So I tried to focus in on that and see what's going on. I had turned on DLSS, and at that point, and then it shot up. Once I had DLSS on, it shot up to about 25 to 30 FPS. Then I had turned off ray tracing, and it went all the way up to 70 FPS. But compared to the benchmark, you had about an average of 115. So there must be something with that one part of the level where it just really takes a huge hit on your performance. So that is one thing I should note to you. While the benchmark is mostly accurate to the rest of the game, it was that one part that I actually experienced where it just plummeted, and it was a horrible experience. So with that being noted, we're going to go ahead and move on to the visual impact all these settings have on your game. moving on to the visual impact the ray tracing has on this game. With Shadow of the Tomb Raider, their version of ray tracing is ray traced shadows, where you had Battlefield 5 had ray tracing reflections, and then with Metro Exodus it was ray tracing global illumination. They're very different, and I'm going to show you in here with what that means in Shadow of the Tomb Raider with the shadows. So looking at Ultra, we have very soft shadows. I have a couple different examples on each one of the settings for you guys, comparative. We're going to compare how this looks. So as you can see on the Ultra, the shadows are very soft, and I'm not a big fan of it, to be honest with you guys. And now we're going to move on to the High, and as you can see why there wasn't much of a difference. You can't really see a difference between the Ultra and the High at most times. So I think that's one of the biggest reasons why you're not seeing a huge difference between Ultra and High in the ray tracing. And now we move on to Medium. And Medium, there's a huge difference between Ultra and High, where you see Ultra had that very soft look to the shadow. Now you have a more deeper, more contrasty and sharp look to the Medium. And it's the same for the Off. This is why I think they need to have one more setting in the game, because Off and Medium look exactly the same to me. I can't tell the difference. So I think that's why they need to add a very high setting to give us more levels of ray tracing. With the Medium, it's almost like I don't even notice ray tracing. Let me guys know down in the comments, what do you think of the Medium and the Off? Do you notice a difference either? So let us know down in the comments what you think. And now let's move on to DLSS. This was the biggest surprise to me because DLSS took a huge hit on visual impact with Metro Exodus and Battlefield 5. So DLSS also in this game really helped out with performance. It really shot up performance metrics for RTX Ultra. So the fact that I didn't really notice a difference between DLSS on and DLSS off between resolution scaling. It looks mostly the same. So I really liked their implementation of DLSS, and I actually recommend using DLSS or deep learning super sampling while playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I did not notice a visual impact on the game, but it did help with performance. So that is an awesome thing to hear, because I've been almost regretting my purchase of a 2080 Ti. Well, I didn't buy the 2080 Ti for the ray tracing or deep learning super sampling per se. I mostly bought it because I wanted the best damn graphics card money could buy. But I did pay a premium to have those features, and we only have 3 games that use them, and two of those games, one of the games I don't use any of those features whatsoever, but DLSS for those 2 games is complete trash and not worth looking at. So I'm glad to see that with Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I can throw DLSS on if I wanted to, and it's actually a useful tool. But as far as the ray tracing shadows in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I'm not a huge fan of the ray tracing in this game. I don't think it makes any difference in visuals as far as me enjoying the game or enjoying the visuals. So I actually liked better ray tracing off. I like that dark, contrasty, and sharp shadows that you get with RTX turned off. The Ultra just did not look good to me. It does look realistic, but it just doesn't look good to me. And to me, video games are a form of art. And so seeing what they can do with just fake shadows is, I liked what they did with it. And part of one thing I noticed in the game, I don't know if I captured it, was that the animations of the shadows of the leaves blowing in the wind, they seem to be almost unnoticeable. They were there, but they weren't as noticeable with RTX on as they were with RTX off. So that is one thing I also want to note for this video, is that I just don't like the ray tracing on with this game. I don't think it looks like anything special. That it does lower my excitement about this quite a bit, but it is great to see that someone was able to implement DLSS effectively and make it a useful tool finally in one of these RTX games. Alright guys, so this is going to wrap up the video. What do you guys think of ray tracing? Do you think it's way beyond its time where it shouldn't even be implemented anymore? Nvidia does have a slew of games that they've announced that say is going to include ray tracing. They got Control, and then as of the making of this video, I just got an announcement from Nvidia saying that Vampire 2 is going to have ray tracing. There's more games coming, but are you even excited about them? Let me know down in the comments, are you excited for what's to come with ray tracing? Do you think it's ever going to come to consoles like they say? I hope it does, just because I think that's going to make developers start looking at implementing ray tracing in the future more often. Alright guys, so if you like this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more from us, hit subscribe and the bell so you don't miss an upload. And we'll see you guys in the next video.